What's up everyone, Andrew Bainey here, and on today's video we are going to be taking a look at the Harley Benton HBJA. This is obviously a Jazzmaster influenced guitar with active humbucking pickups. It may or may not have been influenced by a very well-known masked guitarist. Maybe the demo song will be a further hint. So first and foremost, quick disclaimer, this video is sponsored by Harley Benton and Thomann. They sent this guitar over to me a few weeks back, and now I'm finally getting around to doing the demo on this guitar. I also want to note that there were some modifications made to this guitar before this demo video. If you're familiar with these guitars, they've been going around the internet for the past month or so because they do have an issue with the pickups, which has been fixed for this video, and I've also got it set up in drop B tuning. I want to give a big shout out to my guitar tech and friend Eric Moretin for setting up this guitar and fixing the grounding issue, which I will talk about soon, but Eric has a full video over on his channel where he explains it in much greater detail than I will in this video. So with that being said, for the format of this video, what I'm going to do first and foremost is show you how this guitar sounds in a full demo mix. Then we're going to come back, talk about the specs and features of this instrument, show you a couple of soloed tone clips of this guitar, and then talk about my thoughts, opinions, and what areas of the guitar still need improvement, and all that good stuff. So with all that being said, this is how the Harley Benton JAHH active guitar sounds in a full demo mix. Okay, so now that you've heard how the guitar sounds in a full demo mix, we're going to talk about the specs and features of this instrument. So the first thing that you're going to notice is that this guitar has a beautiful black satin finish with all black hardware. So this has Harley Benton's own HBZ active pickups with a 3-way pickup selector as well as a single volume knob. The correct amount of knobs. Get those tone knobs off your guitars, please and thank you. As for the guitar itself, the body is made out of poplar, and it is a bolt-on design, as you can see on the back there, with a maple neck and a Orozco fretboard. This guitar has a 25.5-inch scale length as well as 22 frets. And then last but not least, for hardware, it just has some simple die-cast tuners on the top, not locking tuners or anything like that, just some standard boys. These guitars originally came out in November 2022, so just last month. They are currently available at the time of this video for $138 USD, which is obviously ridiculously cheap for any guitar, really. So before I move on to showing you what this guitar sounds like by itself, I want to mention some of the issues about this guitar that were found out pretty quickly as soon as I unboxed them, and also, of course, as everyone has seen in Glenn Fricker's videos, he found even more issues, which are present on this one as well. So first and foremost, let's get the elephant in the room out of the way. This guitar had a pretty major ground wire issue, where essentially the ground wire was not making contact with the bridge properly. So pretty much my guitar tech, Eric Moretin, took off the bridge, sanded it down, and put it back in place so that the ground wire actually made proper contact with the bridge. It basically turns out that the paint that Harley Benton used on their hardware is non-conductive, which essentially means that the ground wire was doing nothing, resulting in a quite annoying humming noise coming through the pickups at basically all times. So that has now been fixed, and again, you can go check out Eric's video for a full explanation on what he did there. The other thing, like I said, is I did have this set up for drop B tuning, just because obviously I was playing a Slipknot song, and you know me, I like lower tunings anyways. That's nothing to do with the guitar itself, it's just something that I prefer. Obviously it comes in E standard. And the other thing that I noticed a lot on this guitar compared to the Victory active guitar, the Flying V style one, is that the fretwork on this one in particular is actually a lot worse than on the other guitar. Pretty much all of the frets from the 9th fret upwards on the low bass side are almost all sticking out of the neck of the guitar, and you can feel it when you slide your hand up and down the neck of the guitar that it is actually kind of digging into your fingers, which is never a pleasant feeling. So that was my experience with this guitar so far. I would definitely recommend, if you get one, you're going to need to do some work both to the bridge and to the fretwork. Again, this is a pretty cheap guitar at $138, so just expect to have to do some work going into it. It's definitely not going to be perfect out of the box. In addition to that, on this one in particular, I also noticed that they actually took a little bit of a chunk of the fretboard out of the guitar, probably when they were cutting the frets. It looks like there's just a gouge missing from the first 2 frets on the low bass side. Luckily, it doesn't affect playability, but it is something that is noticeable to the eye. When you're playing it, it's not noticeable at all, and it's not like the string is like slipping off the fretboard or anything like that, at least, but something to note. And then yeah, again, speaking of those sharp fret ends, you can literally see that the frets are coming out of the side of the neck of the guitar, and they've actually cracked through the finish on a ton of them. Like here it looks normal, like you can barely see the end of the fret, but down here you can actually see that it's cracking through the paint on a lot of them. And it's the same on the high, well, the high side is not quite as bad. It's mostly noticeable on the bass side, which for me really sucks because I'm not a shredder. I'm mostly playing down here, so I feel it on the back of my thumb almost always. So yeah, bit of a caveat with this guitar. Definitely, if you're going to get it, keep in mind you're going to have to do some work to make it sound and feel good. If you're picking this up as a mod platform, I still think it's pretty good overall, and it actually does sound pretty good running through the settings that I had it going through for this video. But I just want to get all those disclaimers out of the way. Again, this video is sponsored by Harley Benton, but I always try to be as fair and honest as possible with all videos like this. So there you go. That's my kind of thoughts on the guitar so far and what I had to do to it to get it to this point. So with all that being said, I'm going to show you what the guitar sounds like by itself. I'm going to do a distorted rhythm tone, which is the same tone I was using in the demo track, and then I'm also going to play around with a little bit of a clean tone on the neck pickup and then the middle position, which is both pickups at the same time, so you can hear how the pickups sound if they're clean. Although obviously this is a very metal guitar and most people are probably just going to play high gain stuff on it, I figured I'd throw in a clean tone anyways. So here's how the guitar sounds by itself. Okay, so that pretty much does it for this video. I ended up kind of explaining my thoughts and feedback on the guitar before showing you how it sounded, so I guess I don't really need to bring that up in this section of the video anymore. But yeah, overall, my thought is kind of, there are some issues for sure, and you should definitely be aware of that before you buy the guitar. If you're buying it as a mod project guitar, I think it's probably pretty much fine because you're probably going to be swapping the pickups and hardware anyways. The fretwork is a little bit of a bummer because that is a lot harder to deal with, especially because the binding on the neck goes over the fretwork. So the only way to really trim that down is probably going to be to dig into that binding, which kind of sucks, and it might look a little bit not pleasant to the eye. It's definitely workable, but again, bear in mind if you're buying this guitar, you know, keep in mind you're going to need to do some work. If you're buying it as a mod project, then you probably already know that. With that being said, if you're interested in buying this guitar or anything else from Thomann or Harley Benton, please go check out the link in the description and the pinned comment below, because that gives me a little bit of affiliate kickback. It helps me out, helps keep this channel going and all that good stuff. So if you're buying anything from Thomann, definitely give that link a click. I really appreciate it. Of course, a big thank you to Harley Benton and Thomann for sponsoring this video and not being afraid to let me speak my mind and let you all know what I do and don't like about their instruments. It's nice that they're so receptive to feedback, both positive and negative, and I hope that in the near future they address this paint issue and fix it moving forward, because that would be a big weight lifted off of the consumer that they probably shouldn't have to do themselves in the first place. And then of course, last but not least, a massive thank you to all my Patreon members whose names are on the screen at this point in time. If you're interested in audio downloads, guitar tabs, stems, or a shout out on the screen, you can find all of that over on my Patreon page, which is linked in the description below. That's all I gotta say. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.